Hey guys, welcome back and thanks for tuning in. We're doing something pretty different today. I like to think that I do things different kind of regularly, just to kind of mix things up and kind of keep myself interested and satisfied. And so today we're doing something pretty different, showing you something pretty different, and I hope you guys are on board with it. Real quick, behind me, this is my throwing target system that I built. If you guys are interested in seeing a video on this, I didn't document any of the building process, but I'd be happy to talk about how I built it, what I made it of, and so forth. And also just kind of do a general knife and tomahawk throwing video if you're interested in that. If not, say so down in the comments as well. So today I want to talk to you about this. Looks like a bird's nest, Shane. That's because it is one. I'm going to tell you the story of this little bird's nest. So in the time that we've owned our house, this has never happened to us. We don't have a lot of trees, and so we don't really have places for birds to set up. But we've got a basketball hoop in our backyard, and it's adjustable, and it's got one of those little crevices down in it where a bird could potentially put a bird's nest. And we discovered one day when we came out to shoot some hoops that a bird's nest was kind of accumulating in this little space in the basketball hoop. And so I talked to the kids and I said, look, this bird has just gotten started on this nest. We've got a couple options here. Number one, we can pull this out of there and encourage her to go start her nest somewhere else because she's still got time. Or we can lay off the basketball shooting for the next few months while we let her build her nest, lay her eggs, and hopefully have a chick. What's your choice, kids? Everybody, hands down, yes, we want to watch the bird. We want to see her build a nest and hopefully lay eggs and have a chick. So that's what we did, and that's the nest. You're asking, well, why do you have it now? That's because the process is done, and that's what I want to talk to you about. I want to show you the process. So it was really fun to watch. What I decided to do was I set up a GoPro, and I managed to get it in a couple different positions, and over several days got lots of footage of this mother bird building her nest. That was so fun to watch. She came back with little, I think she'd done most of the twig laying by the time we had I discovered it and started recording it. And so she was bringing back little tufts of, what is this stuff? It looks just like fuzz, like stuffing from a stuffed animal or something. I don't know what it is, but it's it just looks like junk, like messy junk that she just flew around the neighborhood and found. Anyway, just garbage, largely. And you can kind of see by looking at it, there's lots of stuff in here that is definitely just garbage. So anyway, it was kind of fun to watch her build all that and see what she was doing with it and how she was building it. It was very enlightening to see her sort of set something down in the middle of the nest and then sort of use her belly and her feet to sort of smash it down, and her neck and tail would go up on either side of the nest, and she'd just kind of turn in a circle and smash it down. Then she'd fly off and come back with some more and then repeat the process. And this happened for several days, a week or more. I was recording it almost every day and getting shots of her doing all this, laying all this, or building this nest. It was so fun to watch, so interesting. I decided to Google what type of bird this was. It was sort of a gray-backed, yellow-bellied thing. Didn't know what it was, with some sort of white highlights on the tail. And I just sort of started looking for pictures of local Utah birds to try to figure out what this thing might be. I discovered that this was a Western Kingbird. So Western Kingbirds apparently spend a lot of time around here. They're very common in Utah, something you'll see in neighborhoods very regularly. So look up some pictures of Western Kingbirds and you'll see what I mean. That's what this definitely was. And it's, again, one of these things that you see around neighborhoods pretty frequently. What was always fun to watch was, when we would come outside, because we'd still use our backyard. I would come out here and throw knives every once in a while, and we'd come out and just hang out in our yard. And the bird typically would buzz off, fly away from the nest, and then sort of chirp and make all these loud noises that flew around in little circles. And it would do these sort of mock dive bombs where it's really way too scared to come down close to anybody, but it would sort of just dive just a foot down or something from where it was to try to scare us off and everything. But it came back and came back and came back, and before you know it, I put a camera up there, and there was one egg, and we were stoked. We're like, sweet, we're actually going to see a chick at some point. And then I came back a day or two later, and there were 2 more eggs. Now, at the point where there were these eggs up there, we realized that we had a vacation coming up, family vacation. We were heading out to Florida to visit some family. And so we were gonna be gone for over a week. So off we went, and I racked my brain trying to figure out some way to pair together the equipment that I had to turn some kind of a camera into a wireless webcam, basically, that I could set up there, or even wired, but I couldn't work out the tech in time. So we could not get a webcam up there watching the nest 24/7 to actually see the chicks hatch, which is what I was really hoping to witness. What we got instead was we came back from Florida and we were met with this combination of a thrill and a mystery where 2 of the eggs had completely disappeared. Like, they weren't anywhere to be seen in the nest. You couldn't, there's no remnants of them in there. And yet, one of the eggs had turned into a chick. And so we had one chick sort of flopping around in there doing that little cheep, cheep, cheep thing every time you put a camera up. And of course the bird would be flying around angrily, mock dive bombing every time we came to look at the chick. Again, we had the one chick, the 2 eggs, the other 2 eggs were just gone. And I looked around on the ground outside of the nest, no sign of it. Again, no signs of those, egg fragments in the nest. So I don't know if some critter came along, somehow got those other eggs, if they didn't develop and then the mother pushed them out of the nest, and for whatever reason, maybe something did come along at that point and get the remnants of the eggs. But whatever the case, we had one chick, was the result of 3 eggs. But that's cool. That's totally cool, because that's one chick we get to watch develop, which we did. So we got a pair of binoculars we can use to sort of watch from the window, and we can see the top of the basketball hoop, look down on it. And we were able to watch that chick sort of develop and put her mouth up, and then the mom, and even the dad, because we would see two birds, 2 Western Kingbirds, which is pretty cool, because apparently these birds, I don't know if they mate for life or if they just, once they mate, the dad actually sticks with the mom and helps to raise the chick. Apparently that's the case, because we always, not always, but in many cases we'd see 2 birds landing there on that nest, hanging out there, both of them comforting, feeding the chick. And one of the really cool things to see was, I don't think I have any footage of this, was the mother and or the father would actually just land on the nest, not feeding the chick at the time, but just shielding it from the sun. Was a really cool thing to see. Like, here's the nest, and that bird would just kind of be right here, and then it would be sitting down in there. You could clearly tell that the chick was down in there and might put his mouth up for a second, and then that bird would just sort of set its wings out just a little bit to shield that chick from the sun, give it a little bit of a rest from the sun bearing straight down on it. Again, this was in a basketball hoop, so there was no branches above it to give it shade or anything like that. So it was up to those birds to just hang out with that chick all day long and, give it the shade it needed, give it the company it needed, I guess. I don't know. Birds can, I guess they chat and talk with each other. I don't know what they do. Play peekaboo, whatever. And there they kind of hung out with the chick a lot. That was really fun to watch too. And over time, we'd come back to the nest, we'd take a few more pics, get a few more little shots with a selfie stick and a phone of that chick growing and growing and growing until finally, one day it came out, that chick was as big as an adult bird, or it appeared to be. Had as much feathers on it as an adult. Had a few little kind of wispy baby feathers that were still sort of stuck to it, but you could tell that it had its adult feathers. And I knew at that point, this thing was gonna be gone anytime. Now, some of you guys who don't follow me over on Facebook and or Instagram will not have seen any of this process, but to those of you who do, you've seen pictures of this up till this point. So you know that I've been documenting it, I've been watching it, and it's been a pretty exciting thing for me and my family. One day, lo and behold, came out to see what the status of that chick was, and it's gone. It's just gone. No mama bird, no papa bird, no baby bird. We just got an empty nest. And what was funny is, for the next few days, because I just took this down like yesterday, and it's been almost a week since the chick hopped out of there. But then for the next few days, I'd come out and look at the nest, and I'd still see the mama or the papa would come out and angrily kind of fly around the nest like, wait a minute, for some reason I feel like you shouldn't be there, even though the chick isn't there anymore. So they kind of habitually kind of came back to the nest and defended it for another day or two after the chick was gone. But eventually I noticed that they were nowhere to be found. Mama, dad, I have no idea what happened to the chick. Clearly it hopped out of the nest and it made its way out of our yard somehow. And the mama bird and the papa bird have been feeding it, following it around, helping it, defending it, protecting it elsewhere. So they've got no reason left to come back to this nest. And that's why I took it down. Now we can play basketball again. But that kind of made me think of, you know, my job as a dad. And I'm sure a lot of you guys out there are dads too. And kind of the purpose of, you know, my home and everything I do and the way I provide for my kids. You know, it's all here right now. The whole purpose of my home, whole purpose of everything I earn is to raise my kids, and that's it. And then once they're raised, once they're out of the house, once they're doing good, they're adults and they're on their own, it's like all this stuff, it's like it could be my home at that point, but it really has no purpose other than to, you know, raise a family. And I always kind of try to think about that and have that perspective when I'm thinking about my house, how nice certain things are, how broken other things are, how unfinished so much is. I think about the fact that my priority as a parent is to make sure that we have a safe and comfortable and healthy nest for my kids. And that's it. You know, everything else is superfluous. Things can be unfinished and not very impressive and not very cool or whatever. And it's okay because it's a safe, healthy, happy place for my kids to be. It's a safe nest for them to live in. Anyway, I kind of think about that stuff. Well, I think about that stuff a lot. And I try to keep that perspective as I work, as I try to provide for the kids, as I look at my, you know, what I do here on YouTube and put that in perspective to the rest of my life. Like, how important is it compared to everything else I spend time on? Yeah, it makes me happy in a lot of ways, but my job, my mission in life is to make sure that my kids get out of the nest safely. That's it. Hope you enjoyed that little story and a look at that nest. Nature's pretty cool, and this was really fun for me and my family to watch. Hope you enjoyed watching some of it too. I'm the Late Boy Scout. We'll see y'all later.